Welcoming everybody into the latest edition of the USFL podcast player interview series, bringing you the latest, not only from players, of course, but from coaches and also other personalities from around the United States Football League. I am Zach Heilman, sitting in as always. Today, we bring in a special guest, another new addition to the USFL, a globe-trotting addition to the USFL as well. Going to love talking about this man's backstory and just kind of going everywhere and seeing everything. It is Brandon Brooks, newly signed DB for the Houston Gamblers. Brandon, welcome into the show. Glad we got this one organized. How are things? How is off-season prep for you so far?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me, Zach. Appreciate it. Man, things are well here. I'm from San Diego, California. You know what I'm saying? So off-season prep, looks probably a little nicer than a lot of other guys. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's going well. You know what I'm saying? Really focusing on my body. Taking care of my body mostly. I feel like that's a forgotten art. And as you're playing professional sports, you actually have to take care of your body. Invest money and make sure you can do the things that you have to do on the field, because they say you can't make the club in the tub. You know what I'm saying? That basically.
Hey.
If you're injured, you're not going to be around, long. So, doing the things, take care of my body to make sure I have, a healthy camp and a healthy and successful season.
That sounds like a good personal trainer gave you that advice of the club in the tub.
Actually, to be honest, man, back in 2016, I heard that on Last Chance U.
Really?
Can't make the club in the tub. Yeah, for sure. So I've been sticking to that one for a long time.
Well, that's pretty solid advice to keep that body healthy, especially, you want to keep your opportunities available, playing the season. And if you got that chance after the year too, to maybe get NFL looks, as you saw last year, keeping that state of mind, keeping yourself trained, keeping yourself fit could bring some rewards. I want to jump in here. Obviously most people I talk to in this show, they're from the United States. It is the USFL we're talking to. You're based out of San Diego, California. However, if you jump in, if anyone jumps in and is diving into this man's kind of journey, I mean, he's kind of been everywhere in just a few short years in terms of his college and professional career. Quite a bit of travel and some, part North American travel, part hopping across the pond. And I do want to specify college football doesn't just happen to be in the US. There's a good scene if you talk to some folks in Canada that really like what we call USports. And I have not dived hard enough into this. So this is kind of a learning, I guess, a little bit of my prepper into this. I'm going to be getting a little more into USports after today. But sir, you played for the University of Regina up there in Canada for the USports scene. How'd you get up into that scene in terms of football? Because you were originally with the University of Nevada, correct?
Yes, correct. So so you did a little background, but they do have college football on the other side of America, right? Right north in Canada. I went to the University of Nevada, Reno. You know what I'm saying? Everything was pretty cool up there. Division I experience and all that sorts of stuff. Long story short, while I was there, I was a lot younger. We didn't, start off on the season that that I had hoped for us to start out on. You know what I'm saying? So I figured, I put my hand. This is before the transfer portal, mind you, but
Sure.
So I got my release from the that institution, and tried to figure out where I was going to transfer to next. Long story short, man, this is back when, again, like I said, before transfer portal. So NCAA had like a lot of sanctions and this and that. You have to sit down for a year. You can't travel, or you can't transfer here. You can't transfer there. So a coach that I actually, one of my JUCO coaches, he had a connection up. He coached with a guy up in Canada. Long story. So he was like, call me one day, like, are you interested in going, in Canada playing? I'm like, what, CFL? Like, okay, yeah, like, let's run it. I'm probably 18, 19, something like that. Like, yeah, CFL, like, let's go. He's like, nah, like, slow down, hold on. Like, there's college up there, you know what I'm saying? So what you'll do is you'll take a visit. The way that they structure their visits up there is when you take a visit, you're actually allowed to participate in their, like, sort of their spring ball, like a
Okay.
mini camp. Yeah, exactly. So like prospects that they want to bring in, they actually, see them full in pads for those 3 days and, do stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go up there. I'll see the facilities. I'll meet the team, and I get to show them, that I am who, University of Nevada, I am who I say I am, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't typically get too many, Division I transfers up there. Now they do happen. Like Akeem Hicks, that's a popular NFL name. He went to the University of Virginia. Another guy by the name of Tavon Campbell, he plays on the Jaguars. He went to the University of Virginia. So like there are some dudes up there. It's just it takes us some stuff to get up there. But ended up, man, I went up there. I had a good spring camp. They loved me, and I felt like, no matter where I was going to be living, whether it's in Canada, sorry, that's my computer. Well, I was like, whether I'm going to be in Canada or California, Ohio, wherever it is, like I'm going to go to practice, I'm going to go to school. It's going to be sort of the same stuff. I'm not really, like I said, I'm from San Diego, California, but I don't get homesick really, if you know what I'm saying. Like I'm okay with, being away and going from home. Like, San Diego will always be here. So, a young kid, I'm like, yeah, like let's, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm American, right? So the NFL, I've always heard my entire life. The NFL, they'll find you. They'll find you. So okay, cool. The NFL know about me. I'm American. Well, the CFL is like a good, opportunity as well. Again, this is, before the XFL, was back for their XFL 2.0. This is before the USFL came back for their 2.0. So
sure.
like,
I don't mean to interrupt because I think you bring a good point. Like this is a few years prior that scene, because you graduated in 2019, from what I understand, and that scene still really didn't see these amount of options at that point either, which is kind of nuts to think about now.
Exactly. So the options were crazy. So in my head, I'm trying to think, okay, how can I give myself a two-way go here? Well, okay, again, I'm American, NFL solid. If I go up and I play in, Canadian college football, those teams, they should, know about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing in their backyard. So essentially, I go up there, I play, I have 2 good seasons. I was fortunate enough that they invited me to their 2020, their CFL combine. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't typically invite too many Americans up there, because the Americans have their own. I have to figure out a way I can mute this. Let's see. But yeah, so I get invited to the combine. Unfortunately, that's when the whole COVID stuff happens. This is COVID year, 2020. That shuts down pro days, shuts down combines. So I'm like, dang, that sort of put a hinder in, my two-way go plan. You know what I'm saying? But I just felt like, that 2020 year, it was tough. And a lot of guys were, you're either going to quit or you're either going to keep going. Those are the only 2 options. You know what I'm saying? And a player like myself, I felt like, I had the ability, I had the plan. I just needed the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? We hear that word a whole lot. Guys just need the opportunity, just need the opportunity. But I didn't sit back on my butt and just wait for an opportunity. I tried to get things, moving and tried to, see what I could to work. And so I ended up, creating a virtual pro day. I did all that stuff. Let's see, that 2020 year, it was pretty stagnant,
Right.
Roll around, right? Start of 2021 again. Like I'm like, okay, like I can't sit out of football for too long. I have to get something going. Still, so now XFL, that's XFL comes out 2020, but I was just leaving college. I had no pro experience, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So pretty hard to get in that league. I found out about a league called FCF, Fan Control Football. I traveled down to Atlanta for a tryout. You know what I'm saying? About 100 guys there. They said they're going to take about 10 guys. I performed well at the tryout. They ended up signing me. This was back when COVID was, it's still serious, but this is back when, tests, like everything, mask, everything,
Right,
So
right.
I'm a San Diego guy from California. I flew down there to Atlanta, just for this. So they COVID test this, boom, I signed my contract. I'm like, okay, well, I don't have any clothes. I have to go home and, get stuff for, 3-4 months. They're like, yeah, no problem. Boom. I fly back home, pack all my bags. My flight is literally I literally just fly home and supposed to fly right back, like the next day. I get a call 4 a.m. Right, my flight is leaving out of LAX early in the morning, so I'm about to wake up anyway. Get a call at 4 a.m. It's the testing services down there in Atlanta, like the hospital, basically say like, wait, stop, like don't board your plane, like you actually test positive for COVID. And this is this is the first time that I had COVID, and this is like when it was still a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, dang man, like I've been training all this time, like COVID ruined my pro day, ruined my combine. Dang, now I just signed my first pro contract, and I can't go, now. So, I'm just sitting at home. So I'm like, dang, I ended up getting over COVID. It was like the logistics to me to get back to the FCF were tough. Like the season had already started. They wanted to, do tests and stuff. I had COVID, they didn't, it didn't want to touch me. It's tough. I just kept grinding. I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all okay. I'm going to play football somewhere. I keep grinding. By grind, I'm just working out. a blessing came my way, man. The European League of Football, the ELF, that when you mentioned that I jumped across.
Love the ELF. That I think that has been one of the biggest surprises in the scene of football, has been that one in particular. The FCF I think has its own, which you did have to miss that opportunity, unfortunately, but you did join one I think that was on the upswing at the right time, especially 2021 season. That was an incredible year of football for that program in its second season.
Exactly. So I went over there. I was actually a part of the first season. I was a part of the first season.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
that's right, because 2022 is this past year. I'm mixing my years up.
Yeah,
Still,
no,
though, I don't know. Barcelona's fan base, not too shabby, though. That's a pretty diehard group of guys to go play with.
the ELF is a good league. It's showing sustainability. You know what I'm saying? They different countries. You know what I'm saying? It's a good travel aspect. And regardless, I mean, I don't know if well, a lot of people haven't tuned in, but if they do tune in, you will see it is quality football, right? Like there are American coaches that go over there, and there is a lot of homegrown talent in some of those countries. You know what I'm saying? But some of those countries do play football just as we do in America. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, American football in America will always be the gold standard. But over there in Europe, Germans, they like football, the Spaniards, they like football, the French, they like football, everyone likes football. So went over there, man. I had a pretty good year one. So put all my film together. I'm like, okay, so now I'm starting to hear about, these leagues about the summer, coming back out. I'm hearing about USFL, hearing about XFL. Boom, I finished there. You know what I'm saying? I got my league all packaged. I started just getting out my film, sending it to any and everybody, anyone that wants to watch. I put it on YouTube, sending out the link, doing all that. One day FCF calls me back. FCF, they tell me, like last year, we had some stuff going on. It was, we would have had to run tests on your heart, blah, blah. But we want to offer you, the first contract for this next season, if you want to come and play with us and stuff like that. So in my head, I'm like, okay, cool. So now I could probably go back over there to Europe, or I could, stay here in America. I could, do the FCF thing. It's indoor, but it's in America. I'm closer to, if anything pops off, USFL, XFL, any alt football league, I'm here, right? I'm not on the other side of the water. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. So I finished ELF. FCF calls me. Boom. I signed a deal to go to FCF. While I do that, I actually get invited to the USFL draft pool, the first draft pool for last year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I put my hat in for that. Unfortunately, I didn't get picked up. It was tough. There was a lot of guys in the draft pool last year, a whole lot of guys in the draft pool. So, some guys slipped through the cracks and stuff like that. Ultimately, I went over, I played in FCF. I wasn't there long. Actually, a CFL head coach and GM, he came to watch our first game. I had a pretty decent first game. He invited me to come work out. So I departed from the FCF pretty early, but I did, I did touch down there, and I did go through camp, and I played, I was able to play a game, but went out to that CFL camp. Unfortunately, I didn't get signed at the CFL camp, but CFL, it's a big numbers thing a whole lot of the time, but it's good that I just wanted to keep moving up and moving up. Fast forward, now we have like the XFL and stuff like that. I sort of get I get thrown into their draft pool. I have like a couple private workouts for teams and stuff like that, and that brings me to sort of present, man. Sometime in October, and around early October, I get a random call. I answer it's probably like 8 a.m. I'm on West Coast time. So the day the day doesn't start over here for a long time. So get a call probably about 8 a.m. I fresh out the bed. I answer the call, random Texas area code. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk to too many people from Texas, but due to these reasons, I always answer any random numbers. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know who's going to call. Boom. Robert Morris, Houston Gamblers, general manager. You know what I'm saying? I talked to Coach Bob for probably about an hour 30, hour 15 minutes on the phone. We had a great conversation, man. He went over my football journey from the time I left Patrick Henry High School in San Diego, California, to everything that I just told you, and even the couple years in between that that we skipped over. Went over my whole football journey, man. We had a great conversation, and ultimately for me, man, I feel like it was the best decision for me to go to the USFL for several different reasons. You always want to go somewhere you're wanted. You know what I'm saying? So I could have waited out, seeing what the XFL draft, had to offer and stuff like that. But all I know is there was a man calling my phone, saying that he wants me to be a part of their organization. That means something to me. The USFL, they've already put a product on the field. You know what I'm saying? Season 1 that we sat and we watched. Again, it sustained the way through. They had a championship game. Players were happy. We were hearing about players unionizing and stuff like that. For higher
Yep.
pay. Better this, better that. So I'm like, it sort of was a no-brainer. Like, I didn't think too much on it. You know what I'm saying? I thought about it, but I was like, nah, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and lock this in. So yeah, so that was back in October, man. So like I said, now I've just been, and I'm glad that I was able to have, to be able to sign pretty early, because I've been doing nothing but, just getting ready. Just getting ready. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this season. Every season I sort of say, yeah, like, I'm excited for this season, but I'm really excited for this season because I'm, taking my training seriously. I'm preparing my body. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing everything that I have to do, and not only just for this season, but for any opportunities that can happen after the season as well. So, man, I'm genuinely excited.
Oh, I imagine you have to be after talking that whole whirlwind right there, just in a
Sure.
few years. I mean, I gotta ask you here. So, while we're talking it, Robert gives you the call, you're setting things up. I mean, if you obviously get the news as it's coming up that you guys are gonna be playing in Memphis this time. It's not gonna be Birmingham. You're gonna be going up there, gonna be basically enjoying the views with the Showboats players up there. I mean, you ever been to Memphis before? You ever been to Tennessee, that at least Western Tennessee or anything like
I've
that?
never been to Memphis. I've been to Nashville once. I went to
Okay.
Nashville again for that other league, the XFL. I had an XFL workout in Nashville. That was my first time.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, that was my first time in Tennessee. I've lived in Atlanta before, like when I was a smaller child. So I've been down in the South. So, but no, I've never been to Memphis. So it'll be first. I hear I got a good barbecue.
Absolutely. That's why I hear too. I've never actually gone for an extended stay. Pass through. So
Yeah,
it's on my destinations list this year. I can
I'll be there for
guarantee
some
you
time. I'll
that.
let you.
Yeah. Hey, you and I can convene. I trust me. We'll talk about some good places that you and I.
Yes, sir.
I want to backtrack to a few things. Like I said, a lot of stuff that I want to react. So, like, for example, this also, I think, ties in with with at least with Bob, as you reference him, Coach Morris there. When you get a game tape and send it out to people, how do they rate or view, say, an international look in terms of tape? Because I know the ELF, you talk the numbers game, the ELF, the CFL, and things like that. I think that speaks for itself, being able to be picked as one of the few Americans that can be kind of relegated there. Not to mention you played, like I said, with USports, that's CFL style football there as well. So how do they grade that? Is there any tips that people have talked about with that, or they just look at you as a pure football player no matter where you go?
So what I assume, right? And I'm a football junkie. You know what I'm saying? I'm on Twitter. In my spare time, all I do is I watch film. You know what I'm saying? I take football really seriously. It's my life. So what I assume happens, right? So like you said, in Canada, it is a lower quality of football, right, than Division One. You know what I'm saying? Probably then they see, okay, I have intangibles, right? I'm a tall corner. I'm about 6'2" and
Sure.
a half, about 196. So right there, then they're just gonna watch me. They're gonna see how I move within my frame, how what I do when I press, how are my eyes in zone, how are my eyes in man. So they probably sort of watch the player to see how the player reacts in certain given situations, and then can he run? If you could run and you're football smart, they could probably do something for you. Moving over to ELF, how they probably sort of saw that, because again, that is like a lower level football. Well, first things first, it is outdoors, right? It's NFL style rules. You know what I'm saying? 11 on 11 outdoors. Just like the NFL plays. So that makes it easy to compare the films. So something that was with me, so probably that what I'm assuming what makes it easier for them is I played so over in ELF, for the viewers that, or the listeners or viewers that don't know, you get four
Sure.
Americans. You get two per side. You know what I'm saying? Two on offense, two on defense. How the offensive coordinators and defensive coordinator want to, relegate those American positions, they do that on them. A lot of the coordinators will get, one D lineman for pressure and, one safety, or one corner and, one linebacker that can cover the whole field, something like that. So I play corner. And a lot of the time, not a lot of time, but all the time, I just followed the other team's number one receiver. Because on the other side, they'll go
Okay.
a quarterback and a receiver, or a running back and a receiver. They have somebody that can throw the ball. So I'll just follow around their number one receiver at all times. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of the times, the Americans would be, bigger name guys, that have, good film at other places and stuff like that. So I feel like they could, they sort of use that as a gauge, who's he going against, can he run up, can he make a tackle, can he get off blocks and stuff like that. But it sounds like it's a difficult job, because they get sent a lot of film. If I'm putting
Oh
myself
yeah.
in a GM situation, or even you see on Twitter, man, a coach that just tweets something. You got guys, throwing their film just, under wedding pictures and under vacations. So there's a lot of film
Yes.
that they have to go through and decipher, but they do a dang good job of it. And like I said earlier, a lot of the guys, they slip through the cracks, but I don't think that that's any fault to film not being watched. I think that that's just a lot of guys can play football at a high level.
Right. Well, I think, well, a lot of these leagues to me, and I think to others, and yourself, it gives opportunities first off to players like you as well. They're looking to get that next step. But I also think for fans of the game, it gives them another outlet to say, okay, who have I been missing? Or maybe to me, this is where I think I like this avenue is, what's the next logical step? Say you're a college football fan. You really like a specific player. Maybe they don't go as well into the pros, but you want to follow them. That's an avenue in a sector to me that I feel like that capitalizes on is you get those guys that, you get those guys that are diehard fans. Maybe they're not as well exposed. Maybe it helps grow their exposure and helps them kind of say, hey, you should keep some eyeballs on this kid.
Exactly. Or even the diehard fans that, they follow their team's draft, they follow their, their NFL team, they follow signings and stuff like that. Hey, come June, a lot of the guys that they're going to be seeing in April, May, and all the months in between, they'll be on those teams' rosters. You know what I'm saying? So you can
Yeah.
sort of leg up to know who your team could potentially be bringing in, just as they would do, the guys in college when you watch on Saturdays. You're
Mhm.
around football.
So for you talk about prep, by the way. What is your off-season prep been like? I hear there's been a lot of, at least for different position groups across the league. We're talking like Zoom meetings, at least right now, kind of just saying like, hey, check up on playbook or type of like concepts we're running or things like that. Is that your experience, how it's been since October for you?
No, not as much. I feel like different organizations probably have, taken different approaches. I do know I can speak to the Houston Gamblers. We've just, assembled, our full staff, our full, defensive coordinator, D-line,
Good point.
DB coach. Everybody's, finally all in one. So actually, as as we're speaking, we do have a Zoom meeting, coming up soon. We'll probably dive in and, meet those guys and, just talk. But as far as other preparation for me, aside of the team, again, it's just I've been speed training, lifting, positional work. You know what I'm saying? I just have like a structure. On this day I do these two things, on this day I do these two things, this day's for this, you know what I'm saying? And just follow that structure the whole way through, until March 18th is report date. As long as you follow that structure, you'll be ready. A lot of I've seen, where guys, they go into camp, sort of, shaky, as some guys are going, really confident. I feel like you could build all that confidence in the off season. You know what I'm saying? Like the harder I train now, when I roll in the camp, it's going to be easy. Or, that's how I prepare. That's how I'm preparing.
So here's the thing with training, and I think I want to expand on this. You're very much, you talk a film guy. So let's talk DB kind of principles and kind of practices for yourself. So if you're lining up, give me scenarios here. When is it best for you to look at the QB's eyes? When is it best for you to pay more attention to your receiver in front of you?
Okay, for sure. Receiver in front of you, man, right?
Mhm.
What a lot of football fans, they just don't know. Like, it's not like, it's, not saying that people are supposed to know, but what a lot of people don't know is playing corner or playing defensive back, even when we're in zone, at some point in time, that zone is going to turn into a man concept. You know what I'm saying? So, for
Okay.
example, I'm in cover three, right? There's two receivers. I'm in cover three. I have this third of the field. My receiver is running a straight fade, just he's coming straight at me. I have no other threats. Say there's two receivers. The number two receiver has gone away. The number one receiver is running at me. I have no other responsibility other than that number one receiver. So now it's man on most dangerous, So now I'm man to man on him, right? So typically speaking, a lot of the times you could look at the quarterback as when you're in zone, right? When you're supposed to be covering, this patch of grass, this patch of area. When you're in man-on-man coverage, you follow that guy wherever he goes. You know what I'm saying? And so that's sort of, when you can look at quarterback, when you can look at receiver, but film study is also really good for that. But you don't want to get caught looking in the backfield being in man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that'll get you on the bench or cut or you don't want to do that.
Oh, that's fair. Cause I mean, I talk with a lot of people all the time. That's one thing I ask is like, well, you see some DBs trailing, maybe once in a while you're like, well, wait a minute, can't they turn around and get a kind of quickly and look up and bat the ball away? Cause I know some of them, it's more reactionary. You see the ball get into the receiver's hands, possibly you want to hit it just as it kind of lands, as instead of that way you're, even if you're trailing or if you're keeping up with them, it's more about the speed. You're not losing any speed that I'm able to tell from that method.
The biggest thing is like when you say when you're in trail is don't panic, right? Don't panic. If a receiver gets a step on you, the ball's in the air, watch his eyes. Watch when he shoots. He has to catch the ball too. As soon as he shoots those hands, I'm going to try to shoot mines right through that. I'm going to destroy however he was going to catch that ball. I just don't want him to catch it. Whatever I got to do to make sure he doesn't catch that ball, that's what I'm going to do, without getting a penalty. But, and that's another time, you see a lot on Twitter, people say like, why doesn't he just look back for the ball? And so there's, stuff called like in phase and out of phase. If you're out of phase, if you're not in phase to play the ball, you don't want to look back. You look back, the ball's going to go right over your head, as opposed to if you're in phase, you're, stride for stride with the receiver, you know what I'm saying? Now you're the receiver, essentially. You guys are at the same point. You could look back for the ball, and it's likely going to be, you're going to be able to locate it, high point it and play it, go up for, a pick essentially. But yeah, man, it's a corner's a tough position. Definitely, I would say it used to be underrated. I feel like we're getting our respect as of lately, but I feel like it has been an underrated position just due to the difficulty about it. But yeah, man, that's why I feel most comfortable, impressed.
Yeah, I mean, those are great points. That speaks a lot to the timing of it. I think that's what get lost with those comments. Even my own analysis sometimes too is, it does take at least, at least half to a second to at least make sure your head's turned around, so that even then you have to register where the ball's at that point.
And then find it, right? And then find it, and then make sure he can't catch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he knows his route. They break the huddle. He knows where he's going full speed. I don't know where he's going, and I have to play him, but I'm going backwards. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's tough.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. But hey, you expertise, you get an expert, not expertise, you master it. There we go. My words were failing me there, and geez, it can be a receiver's worst nightmare at that point.
Yeah, that's the plan, man. Just practice, repetition.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What are some now you're gonna get a season ahead of you. I know training camp still is ahead of things, and you camp battles and all that, but what are some goals for yourself, going into camp, going into at least this 2022 year, being in the United States Football League?
Keep elevating. Keep elevating. That's a goal that I have sort of going into every year that I play. So not what I like to say, but something that I've seen is guys, they plateau or something like that. For example, think about like, back when you were in high school, like this amazing athlete, that no longer plays football anymore. Likely chances are, he may have gotten injured, or he just, stopped, getting better. He was just better than everyone else when they weren't there. My goal is just a steady incline. Year after year, I'm trying to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to take, practice, serious, like it's practice, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where you get all your reps before the game on Saturday and Sunday, you know what I'm saying? So I like to use that time to like get better, focus on my craft and, just put a good product on the field, you know what I'm saying? Represent myself, represent my family, the Houston Gamblers organization, just represent well, you know what I'm saying? And put good things on tape and, put my head down, grind, stay healthy, and just prepare for any opportunity that may come my way after the season.
Well, Brandon, I certainly, along with others, are excited to see you hit the field. I can't wait for you to get those reps, get into that real life scenario, and hit the field soon enough. We're only less than 3 months away, and 4 hubs in the fray. Should be an exciting year ahead.
Yes, sir.